Hi everyone and welcome to today's book haul, which in fact could be titled Unexpected Book Haul, because in August I said I wouldn't be doing a book haul for a while because of the size of my to-be-read pile, which is seriously a long list. It's a huge to-be-read pile and it's quite scary and quite intimidating, but that's probably the case with every single booktuber. We just buy so many books and we just don't have time to read them all, so at least I'm hopefully not alone. But today I have a very valid excuse, which is that I had to buy some books for English literature, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about them today, tell you what I'm going to be reading and studying over the next year. I guess we should just get going, talk about all of the books, and then we'll be done. So let's get going. The first book is perhaps the most boring book, but I'm going to start with it anyway. It is the textbook for the course that I'm doing, which is AQA Specification B A2. This is hopefully going to help me a lot. Hopefully it'll give me some advice for the coursework and for the exam as well. I'm just hoping that it's going to point me in the right direction when I'm answering all of the questions, and to be honest, even though it does say exclusively endorsed by AQA on the front, AQA are very unpredictable and I don't fully trust them because they change their minds all of the time and they don't even know what they're doing sometimes. The examiners can be quite weird. But hopefully the textbook will be useful and hopefully it will help me to get the grade that I'm hoping for. So that is that one. The first thing I'm doing is the comparative coursework essay, and I've actually talked about these books before, so I'm not going to talk about them in great depth today. However, I will mention them because, you know, may as well talk about all of the books that I'm studying. The first one is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and the second one is Sargasso Sea by Rhys. I love these books. I am so happy to finally be studying books in English that I really do love. It's so much easier to write about books that you feel passionate about. Jane Eyre is such a good story. It's about this girl who has to battle through the social expectations to get what she wants, to search for her identity. She starts as a child, she falls in love with this man, and then there's a lot of complications with marriage. And it is seriously so good to read, very entertaining. Sargasso Sea is the prequel to Jane Eyre. In Jane Eyre there's a character called Bertha Mason, and basically she's a madwoman in the attic. She's locked away up there, and this expands on her backstory and how she came to be as she is, and it's just really exciting, very shocking at times. I'm looking at the themes of isolation and oppression, and that is what my essay is based around. So far I think it's going okay, so those are those two books. I also have another piece of coursework to do, which is going to be on the critical anthology, which I'm currently reading and studying in class. We're looking at different kinds of literary theories such as feminism, Marxism, beauty and value in literature, that kind of thing, and we have to choose a theory to look at a text about and sort of analyse it in light of that theory. For example, I think we have to do a poem, and I would maybe analyse that from a Marxist perspective or a feminist perspective. So I'm excited to do that, but obviously I don't yet know which text I'm going to be doing, so I can't really talk about that right now. Now let's move on to the books that I'm going to be studying for the exam, which is going to be in June 2015, and the exam is based around elements of the Gothic, which is something that I've never really considered before. I don't read a lot of Gothic books, so I think it's going to open my mind to that genre, teach me a lot about the genre, and hopefully just broaden my horizons in terms of learning about this genre and wanting to read more books in the genre. The first book that I'm going to be reading and studying is The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter, which is a selection of short stories, with The Bloody Chamber being the longest out of the 10. 10 comes to mind. It might not be true, but I think they're around 10. Some of them are a bit longer than others. The Bloody Chamber is quite long, but some of them are very short. And it's quite hard to explain, really. It's a retelling of fairy tales, kind of from a feminist perspective in a way. Angela Carter doesn't always seem happy with how people describe it, so I'm kind of scared. But basically, there's an introduction, so I'm going to tell you what it says. She wants people to know. She says here that her intention was not to do versions, or as the American edition of the book said horribly, adult fairy tales, but to extract the latent content from the traditional stories and use it as the beginnings of new stories, which I definitely agree with. You know, she has taken a lot of elements from these fairy tales, but come up with stories that are brand new, really, and very shocking, actually. I read the first one, and it is quite shocking, quite strange and weird, and sometimes I just don't want to read about some of the stuff that it talks about, and apparently it kind of gets worse with the adult content. But hopefully I'll enjoy reading the other stories, and hopefully I'll enjoy studying it. Because I haven't really studied short stories before, it will hopefully be quite a new and different thing. In order to help me study The Bloody Chamber, I decided to buy York Notes, which is basically like a study guide. It really goes through the text, tells me what it's about, and helps me to analyse it, just to give me a few ideas, and I really think the York Notes series is so useful. I used it last year for The Kite Runner and The Great Gatsby, and it was seriously very helpful, and hopefully it'll be helpful this year, particularly because with a collection of short stories, there's so much going on, there's so many different stories. I want to make sure I definitely know which one is which. I don't want to get confused or anything in the exam, so it really will point me in the right direction, hopefully, and give me a bit of help. The next book I'm going to be studying is one that I actually don't know a lot about, and to be honest, I'm not really looking forward to it. I just have a preconceived idea that I might not like this book, and it is The White Devil by Webster, which is a play. And in general, I don't like studying plays in English literature. For some reason, they're just not as interesting. I don't think they have the same level of excitement because you really have to watch a play to get the most out of it, and just studying the text in it is not as interesting as studying a book, for example. You know, you don't have all these long descriptions that you would get in prose. It says on the back that it's something to do with lust and murder, with unsavoury characters that become startlingly heroic under pressure, challenging both the conventional moral judgments and oppressive social forces. So hopefully it'll be good. It sounds quite interesting. I always enjoy reading about oppression in different historical contexts and how it affects the characters. So overall, I'm just hoping for the best. In order to help me with The White Devil, I decided to buy the York Notes again, and I really like this cover. I think it's amazing. I love this bird of prey in the front. I think it looks so exciting. Hopefully it will be a useful book. I don't think it'll be exciting to read as such because it's a study guide, but it should be quite helpful. The final book is one that I've already read before, so it's perhaps the most exciting one and the one that I'm most excited to study because I love the story. It's quite complicated, but I really like it. It is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Although it's probably my least favourite Bronte novel that I've read, I still like the story and the complexity. It's written in such an intelligent way, and you know, the characters are written so you don't like them, which is kind of weird because you don't really connect with them, but they are very interesting to analyse, and I know that this has a lot of Gothic elements in it. Just this kind of crazy love story, really, on these hills in the Yorkshire moors, and it's fantastic. And I actually already had this, but this is a new edition because I had the Penguin English Library edition, which is of course beautiful, and because I'm going to be analysing this book, I can't be writing in a Penguin English Library edition. It's just not right. So I decided to buy this very cheap edition, which was like £2, and hopefully I will be able to write in this without worrying or anything. So that is Wuthering Heights. I also have the Wuthering Heights York Notes as well, which I've already shown before in my June book haul, I think it was. I did the month of classics, and I used study guides to help me reading those books. So I've already used this a little bit and it was really useful, so I can't wait to use it to properly study the book. So everyone, that is it for my September book haul. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know down below if you've studied this course as well. I would love to hear if you've got any good advice for the exam or the coursework. And if you've studied or read any of these books as well, please let me know what you thought of them. I am really intrigued to study these books because I just don't know a lot about them, and the stories sound quite interesting, the themes sound really interesting, and of course the Gothic genre as a whole sounds very gripping, so I am excited. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all again in my next video.